had two eminent colleagues who spoke about the conference, spoke about UNRWA, spoke about the situation, of course, in the OPT. Maybe just to say we had this ministerial meeting now co-chaired by Brazil, Jordan, and Spain. The main objective, of course, was to continue to garner the necessary support to the agency mandate, to safeguard it, but also it was a meeting where we had to draw the attention about the precarious financial situation of the agency. But let me, I know that we have said almost everything about Gaza, that most of the time we are out of word, but I think it's always important, day after day after day, to remind ourselves about the horror unfolding there, just to make sure that we do not start to feel, jaded or indifferent. What's going on in Gaza is absolutely unbearable. We had a week ago, last week, the Commission of Inquiry, which came to its conclusion describing it as a genocide. It added, in fact, its conclusion to many other, I would say, scholars or NGOs, including Israeli NGOs, who basically concluded to the same. And it is true that Gaza today, people are experiencing hell in all its possible facets. It's quite common now today to hear in Gaza that people just dream to be able to properly die rather than to go through this suffering. It says a lot. I think during this week there have been also a few events where we were reminded about the fate of the children, the war on the children, the number of children, the highest number in the world of amputees, amputation taking place without sterilization, the fact that on a daily basis you have the equivalent of a full classroom of children dying, one every hour, 25, 28 on a daily basis. So I think it's very important to keep, expressing total outrage on what's going on. And of course, what part of our frustration is that this outrage has not yet been translated into meaningful action, putting an end to the atrocity that we are recording on a daily basis. We were talking also about the agency. I think we discussed many times in this room about the price ultimately my colleagues have paid on the ground. Today we talk about more than 370 colleagues who have been killed. There might be even more because of the major military offensive taking place right now in Gaza. We do not have all the information on real time. Also the extent of the attack the agency has been under politically in terms of disinformation campaign, but also the bills which have been adopted by the Knesset, constraining, in fact, the ability of the agency to properly operate, mainly in Gaza. Having said that, we are still operational in Gaza. We still have 12,000 staff. They are still on a daily basis and against all odds providing health services, doing nutritional screening for the children, ensuring access to clean water, managing shelter, providing, whenever it is possible, some psychosocial support to the children. So while the agency is constrained when it comes to delivering life-saving assistance or food to the population, all the other services are continuing, of course, bearing in mind the context in which our colleagues are evolving. I also regularly remind this absurd or obscene reality where, on one hand, we have a fabricated famine, a man-made famine in Gaza, and we have tons of goods waiting outside of Gaza. Only UNRWA as an agency, we have available the equivalent of 3 months of food covering the need of the population. And collectively, we have shown during the last ceasefire that when there is a will, when obstacles are lifted, collectively we succeeded to reverse the tide and answer to the growing hunger in Gaza. 1 or 2 words about our financial situation. My call to the member states is to bridge the situation between now and the end of the first quarter next year. Why the first quarter next year? Because traditionally we used to receive in January the US contribution and funding, which allowed the agency to start the year with a deficit, but now this won't be possible, and the need for new money, in fact, is right now $200 million. We have succeeded to muddle through until now, until the end of September. We have also put in place a drastic cost control and austerity measure within the organization, but it doesn't mean that we will succeed to continue to muddle through. So without significant new money, the agency will be obliged to take, I would say, additional drastic measure. Maybe last but not least, my plea to the member states today. Of course, we all know we needed yesterday a ceasefire. We needed yesterday the release of the hostages. We needed yesterday a scaling up of the humanitarian assistance to reverse what's unfolding under our watch. But we also need now that we restore the humanitarian response as it was at the time of the ceasefire. It's grotesque that it has been replaced by a system for which the main objective is to support, in fact, military and political objective. Here I refer to the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. And last but not least, a strong call to the member state to safeguard the mandate of the agency. You know that last week the New York Declaration was endorsed. It featured quite predominantly the role of UNRWA, and I think it is important that if ultimately we want to get rid of the agency, it's important that we genuinely and truly invest in peace, because the only alternative to an agency like ours are functioning, empowered, capacitated future Palestinian institution within a two-state solution. So I think I will stop here, but just to add some element of the conference today.
Okay.